great actually.
How are you? Yuji. I saw your name. I say I have to come here and see you. It's like 30 years we haven't seen every
So Berkeley is coming.
He's coming? Okay.
How's my
People! Bob is on the way!
Oh, hey, very nice to see you.
Woo! Look at that!
Will you through the crowd, Cody?
Yes.
Say hello to everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Franklin. How are you?
Hello there.
Ages ago, huh?
I forgot what I
No worries.
No, we used to have regular casual events, but one of the biggest events in the world.
Yeah, one boy and a girl. One boy is just entered high school. The girl just entered middle school.
Where was that?
I see. Right.
Fantastic sense of humor.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Of course you can.
Just make it problem very hard to replace movies everywhere with it because we saw that he should be problem with that. They would just blow up. But at Intel it is not
You were there.
Oh yeah, where's his? Well, over there. We can get it. I'm gonna grab that. Is he over there? Yeah, yes. I can get a mic. Right here, right here. I'll hold it up.
Hear me.
Yeah.
I just want to say thanks very much, but again, thanks for coming. It's so great to see so many familiar faces all over the years. It's first time ever. Occasion, I think.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Make it to unconscious and it will be more. So, should we cut the cake now or wait for later? With
What?
the
You can wait until later.
Yeah, okay. So, we'll please take it away. Okay.
Thank you.
Everyone, please take a seat, please. Find a seat, everyone. We get started. All right. We gotta get going. I need to call people's name out. Good, please take a seat. Oh wow. This is
Yes.
If you want to talk.
okay. Everyone, please take a seat. We're gonna get started now. Oh, thank you, Jim. Thank you, thank you. That's what was needed. Okay, let's start here. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rajiv Ranjan. I'm one of Bob's students. Graduated in 1997. So we are celebrating many things today. First of all, this event is meant to celebrate Bob's 90th birthday, and we just did that song. I think it's probably the only occasion I can think of where so many of CAT group people have come together at one place, and it's also spanning so many years of graduation. So I think we all deserve a warm round of applause for all of us coming together. Bob, you want to say something? Awesome. Woo! So first of all, I would like to say that this whole thing is brainchild of Vigyan and Sharad. So they have been cooking this, I don't know for how long, and then one day Vigyan says, Rajiv, you need to help me identify a venue for Bob's event. And next thing I knew, basically, most of the organization came on my shoulders. But I'm happy to own it. Yeah, so I'm so happy to see so many of us. Like I had forgotten about CAT Group, like this last, say 26 years now.
How could you?
I know. So, but it's so good to see so many people today. What we have in plan for the evening is just keep things, go back to the memory lane, reminisce about things. And so I thought the best way to do it is a combination of slides, a speech, a video, and a quiz to go with it. So a trivia quiz. Hope you all would enjoy. So let me kick it off. The title is How Well You Know Bob and His Students. So over this different trivia questions, those we will see how well you qualify for this. Let me show the second slide, this one first. I don't know I think we know Bob's different sets of awards he has gotten over the years. By the way, the source is Ruth, so if anything is missing or anything is exaggerated, if something should not be here but is there, then I'm not to be blamed. So you know, National Academy of Engineering, I think, would be the highest honor, unless anybody else has an opinion about it. A Lifetime Achievement Award, Kaufman Award, IEEE Fellow and such. I see that number of papers, 500 technical publications, pretty round figure. I don't know whether it's wrong or right, but seems right. So it's very impressive. But things didn't look so rosy in the beginning. So this is Bob's 8th grade report card. I counted this, and I think I have formally verified. So there are 63 occurrences of letters A, B, C, and D, and then I counted each one of them. So I don't know if you do some weighted average of this, 28 C's and 27 B's, 7 A's and 1 D.
You didn't do a Carnot map on.
Yeah, so I think most of our kids are beyond elementary and middle school. Maybe those who still have kids in elementary and middle school, and you are disappointed with your child's report card. Think of this. A lot of potential ahead.
Is that the PLA?
Yeah, so, and by the way, thank you very much. Many people who have sent pictures. And Jim sent me this plethora of photographs that was so useful. And I would like to give a shout out to Nari, Adnan, and Ruth for giving me lots of good ideas about the quiz. So the quiz starts now. So Bob's real name is Robert Brayton, in case you did not know. And what I did not know was that he has a middle name as well. So those who know it, just speak out for a second. I want to know how many of you do not know what his middle name is? Only a few? Are you serious? Don't be shy. I did not know the middle name until recently. Okay, so there's a hint, there's a K in there. So the way I knew the middle name was, Bob's birthday was on 21st October, and there was a family event. And then one of the speaker was saying that Bob is acting like his middle name in the hospital, refusing to eat the hospital food. So that, if that gives you a clue, so, excuse me. There you go. Bob's middle name is King. So we saw what happened in the 8th grade, and we also saw the list of awards he has won. I think far more than we can imagine. So something transpired in between, and this question is courtesy Nari. I did not know what it's called. It's not called Erdos. It's called Erdish. Sorry? Erdish. There you go. So Paul Erdish is supposedly a famous mathematician. And Erdish number indicates that if you are Erdish himself, then your number is 0. If you have co-authored a paper, then your number is 1. Likewise. So what is Bob's Erdish number? And whatever number that is, how do you receive that number? I have two. Oh, wow. No 1? How could you not say 1? It is 1 indeed. Oh, okay. All right. I tried to. Okay, so I said many 2s. Who knows how the path to 2 goes? Nari, of course, knows. He gave me the question. Anton also knows. Adnan also knows. Amit also knows. Okay, Amit, what is it?
We are all three. There was this mathematician who did the factorization.
Name of the person.
Name,
Not good enough.
Okay, Anton.
It was Macmillan or Mose.
Nope. Unless either Nari is wrong or you are wrong. Okay, hang on 1 second. Anybody else knows? Yeah, go ahead.
Alan Hoffman.
There you go. I think, yeah, that's right.
Who was the papers?
That's our group right here.
No, but you need to know the paper.
Paper. Oh no, I don't have that in the quiz here. So, okay, Nari, what was the paper?
So,
Okay, so the bell ring means that Bob wants to say
Oh, yes, all right.
Close to your mouth there. It's on. Really, really close.
I want to know who said that and how did they know who the guy was.
That's Aaron, right here.
The only reason I know is because that's why my Erdos number is 3.
So all of us are 3, of course. I will be surprised if I see. There's just a couple of more here, and then. So first of all, how many of us have Bob as the PhD advisor? About half the room, I guess. Now, who was Bob's PhD advisor, right? Who can answer that? Adnan knows. He gave me that question. So Adnan, why don't you give the answer?
There's a gentleman called Norman Levinson. Should I tell him about how Levinson spent the last 25 years?
Yeah, that please.
So the other very interesting thing is that Norman Levinson...
If you get the microphone, Adnan.
Take the mic.
The other very interesting thing about Norman Levinson, well, I could tell you many things about him. One was that he was Wiener's student. But the thing that was most fascinating was that he spent 25 years of his life trying to solve the Riemann hypothesis. And actually, he did make a little dent in it. If you know about the Riemann hypothesis, he showed that 1/3 of the zeros at least asymptotically sat on the critical line. So I thought that was a very fascinating fact.
Yes, Anton wants to say something. Hang on.
Well, the other part that you may not know about Levinson is that he would travel to Europe back and forth on ships, and he would send a postcard to a friend on boarding a ship saying, I have solved Riemann's hypothesis. As soon as I arrive to the other side, I'll send you the proof in case that the chip went down.
That's fascinating. So Bob did his PhD. I think all of us know Bob's stellar career at IBM. Let me see, it was 30 years? Am I? 25. And then at Berkeley, he joined 88. And I don't know how to count Berkeley years. I think that's another quiz question, so let's hold off on that. I think it's fair to say it's over 25 years over there as well. Okay, the next question. What was Bob's first job? Once again, it came from Adnan, so let's see who else knows this answer besides Bob and Adnan. And Ruth probably also knows. No, Ruth may not know.
I know, yeah.
Jim, you know?
I think it was detasseling.
I'm sorry. This is the first job as in, not as a newspaper boy or lawn cutter boy. But yeah, thank you, Nadi, for the clarification question. This is a well-paying, good job after some college degree.
Don't be against corn detasseling.
Sorry? A W2 job, okay, yeah. That's a good one. Anyone besides Adnan? No? Seriously? Oh, wow. Not even you, Ruth?
I don't know.
Oh.
No, U.S. Army was a stripper.
Okay, Bob, you want to say something? You want to take a guess?
Depends on what you mean by a job.
W2 means a W2 job. You are working after college and earning load of money.
You have to pay taxes.
No. Let's see. Okay, so this is the answer in Sperry Rand Univac. So it.
Six months. That's all that counts.
Oh wow! No, Bob must have told you, right, some point of time? Or
Lay down railroad tracks too.
That's not supposed to.
Oh, okay.
all right. Next question. How many? Was a quick tidbit here. So when Bob was in the hospital, I went there next day, and this hospital is in Oakland, very rough hospital. People are walking on the handcuffs, lot of signs, no weapons allowed, and then scary police officers, many checkposts. So I go there. So who are you here to see? And the next question, what's your relationship? Only relatives are allowed. I said, Bob is my godfather. Then he writes, Rajiv Ranjan, godson. And that's how I was able to see Bob the next day he was admitted. So my next question is, count, including PhD and masters, how many god kids Bob has?
Let's take a wild guess.
Yeah, give a range. Yeah, give a range. Maybe within 10.
60. 50. 60.
60, 50.
40.
63.
90.
70.
Okay, again, I have not authenticated the answer because I took Ruth's word for it, and this is the answer. 41 PhD and 5 masters. So you were the closest, Shaz, right? Oh, good job.
I said 50.
Yeah.
Oh, you were close. I see. Okay, now the quiz begins. The real one. Who was Bob's first graduate student?
I know now.
Oh, wait. You know. Anybody else? Sharad would know, Arti would know. Vigyan.
I know only because Sharad told me.
Ramin, okay. Alright, so Ramin.
Rick McGear.
Alright, yes. Ramin gets the applause. And with that, I would like to invite Rick to give the first speech of the evening. And I think Rick has to share how he became the first graduate student.
Rick, the music starts playing in a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, you know, when I started with Bob, the first day he came in, and we met over at the Women's Faculty Club, and he sort of sighed and said, "Well, I guess the best is yet to come." Anyway, the real answer to the trivia question is I'm one of the few graduate students, probably not the only one in history, who recruited his advisor. Or helped. I think it was much more Alberto than me. But in any case, and it was pure desperation because I wasn't going to graduate unless Bob showed up at Berkeley. So what had happened was that we'd gotten together in the spring of '86 when he was here as a visitor, and he and I did a project together on algebraic division. I walked into his office and he said, "Well," he said, "you know, I'll tell you the algorithm, but I've written it in APL and nobody understands." "Oh no, wait a minute, I love it." So implemented the algorithm, figured out a faster way to do it, and wrote that up and published it. Went into VLSI 87. And while I was working on the final version of the paper, I knew that we were recruiting Bob, and I knew that he loved to sail. So we were talking on the phone every day about the paper, you know, changing this and that. And I said, "Bob, it's February, it's a beautiful day. I can barely see the bay because of all the sailboats. You really ought to come." Anyhow, he came that fall. I switched over and started working with Bob. And in November, this is very short, but it's really illustrative of Bob. 87, by the way, Rajiv, not 88.
Okay.
September 87. So we'd gotten into this conversation with Rick Rudell and a few others about, gee, how could a path be sensitized? And there was lots of arguments. Nobody knew the answer. So we drove down to ICCAD together, and there was a paper on it. So I went to watch the talk. Bob was off watching something else, and as we drove back, he said, "So did Benkowski say anything about what a sensitizable path was?" And I said, "No, he just did a best first algorithm. He seemed to just..." And Bob said, "You know, Rick, I don't think anybody knows the answer to this question. Why don't we look into it?" So that became my thesis. Thought I had it all worked out over Christmas. I came in in January, showed Bob what I had. He said, "Well, Rick," and then he mentioned something that I'd forgotten, that I hadn't really understood, and that sort of threw things off, so I was off working on it. The next day, Bob walked into my cube, and he'd written down on a piece of paper the key definition that was the key to solving the whole problem. And after that, it was all downhill. You know, worked out the math and did the algorithm and wrote it up and all that stuff and got a thesis, and we got a bunch of papers, a book, and enough royalties that we were able to take Ruth and Karen out for a nice Italian dinner in Albany. That was terrific. But that was Bob. Is Bob. He was always fascinated with the problem, cared about little else. I could go into his office to talk to him about something, and we'd be there, and the whiteboard would be covered in stuff. 3 hours later, and he was always eager to get after it. He wasn't interested in consulting. He wasn't interested in getting an enormous amount of finance. He wasn't interested in any of that. What he was interested in was solving the problem, and he was just an absolute joy to work with. And I can tell you for sure, I'd never have gotten out if it weren't for him. I really won't. And thank you so much for everything, Bob, and particularly for that.
Woo! Thank you, Ambassador. Yes.
Close.
I said thank you.
Sharad, I forgot which number student you were.
3.
Number 3. And who was number 2? Who?
Arve.
Arve.
Yeah, he's here.
Can I invite Arve and Sharad to pay their tributes?
Sure, but he's doing the talking.
Okay, all right. Come on, Sharad.
Urban is the people gotta go first, Urban. Yeah, I'll follow.
And Arve, thank you very much for making time for this. I know it was a last-minute decision for you, but thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, this is completely improvised because I have no idea that I was going to speak today. I think I have the honor of being the first French graduate student and PhD student. Bob.
And only the French count.
Actually, it took me a year to convince him because I was working with somebody else whose name, of course, will remain secret. That I really wanted to work with Bob, so I came to his office and said, "No, I have him." No. So I came to his office several times. Took me a year. After a year, actually, he said yes. So I don't know because he was exhausted or something, but maybe he has regretted since. But thank you very much, Bob. I had a great time with you. Had a great time with the team, of course. Frankly, my first few years at Berkeley has been quite difficult when I came from overseas, and when I joined your team and I joined the CAT group, it changed my life. So frankly, I really, really enjoy the years I spent, and I will be forever grateful to you. So thank you very much.
So I think the one thing that Rick, Hervé, I, and actually Alex and Rana also shared, we were all, if I may use the term, rescue dogs. I mean, all of us were had other advisors when we started at Berkeley, and I think we found our way into Bob's office, and all of us were immediate beneficiaries of, this immediate, connection that we established, and then benefited from that. And I'm really glad to see all of you, Bob's academic children, my academic siblings, who have benefited from the wonderful advising that we've all got from Bob. But I want to actually bring in one more group of people here because I think that's an important group, and that's Bob's academic grandchildren. So for those of us, Roland, Adnan, me, Sunil, who are in academia, the Bob's impact actually has gone across generations. We've all benefited from Bob's advising. It was a style that was, I think Rick mentioned very clearly, Bob was really just interested in the knowledge, the learning, having students engaged, being supportive, being caring, committed to their success. All of that mattered more than, the Silicon Valley consulting, even academic accolades. All of that was secondary. What's really important is that the students are engaged, they succeed, they cross the finish line. And that's something that I think has become part of, our academic training, our nurturing, and, for Indians here, I can use a Sanskrit word, it's become part of our academic sanskar. It's our upbringing, and it's something that stayed with us, and it's something that, at least for me, I can say we've passed on in our advising to our students. So in the 40 plus students or so that I've advised, that's something that I've strived to follow. What's really important is their engagement. What's important is supporting them, getting them to cross the finish line, and that's something that came absolutely firsthand, from being Bob's student. A big happy birthday from your grandchildren, your academic grandchildren. I'm sure between us there are about 100 academic grandchildren, and that had I thought about it, I would have given that question to Rajiv. How many academic grandchildren you have? So actually, before I part, I'll just take one more minute. Bob, I'll take one more minute, please. No? You're the man, boss. You're the man. Go for it.
Well, I just wanted to say that the people I learned who's from at the beginning were my first 3 graduate students who taught me. They taught me to professor.
The first 3 grads taught him how to be a professor.
Oh! Wow! That's amazing! Oh my God!
So before I give up the mic, I want to say something that I know everybody in this room feels. We benefited not just from Bob's nurturing, but also Ruth's nurturing. So as much as I know. The evenings and the weekends were taken up by our papers that had to be reviewed, the theses that had to be reviewed. And Ruth, we're really thankful for you being generous in terms of helping us share that time, personal time with you. And gradually, obviously over time, you gave us all a very warm embrace. And it's something that we are truly thankful for, we benefited from. And thank you very much. You're as much a part of our academic upbringing as Bob is. Thank you.
Wow.
That was a big compliment, Sharad. Yes.
I want to say, that the one who taught me the most was Ruth.
Absolutely. So I'm going a bit out of turn because I would like to invite Sanjeet Seshia. So we are celebrating Bob's birthday about 2 weeks late, but it's Sanjeet's real birthday today. So give a big round of applause. And he has to go back to his family dinner.
So he's treating us basically.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you all, and especially thanks to the organizers, Bob's students, for this wonderful event. And it's really a pleasure for me to celebrate my actual birthday with all of you this evening, and with Bob and so many friends that I'm seeing after many years. I've been privileged to be Bob's colleague here on the faculty in Berkeley EECS for the last almost 19 years now. Bob's influence and impact on me and my career go back, quite a way. So, if I think back, the inspiration that led me on this career path actually goes back when I was an undergrad at IIT Bombay in the early 1990s. This is all pre-internet. And I remember the logic design class that I had probably in my sophomore year. And we used espresso to optimize our circuits. And, we were playing with those logic gates that are those chips that look like beetles with legs, and sticking them on PCBs. And this, to me, it was this magical software written by this group at IBM and Berkeley, half the world away, that was just enabling us newbies be able to design logic circuits with relative ease. And so I was just blown away as an undergrad. And I think it's that experience set me on this path towards design automation. Fast forward a little bit to the faculty at Berkeley. I remember when I joined in 2005, Bob and Alan and Sat and the rest of the gang were working on ABC. And I remember they wrote a paper on ABC where they said ABC is an academic industrial strength model checker. And I think to me that perfectly encapsulates the kind of work that we expect from Bob's group and the CAD group, right? It's an academic project, it's forward-looking, but it's industrial strength. It's used by industry, and it's competitive with the tools that are optimized with armies of programmers out there. And I think that's really inspiring for us, a young professor, as an example to see what kind of research one should aspire to. So anyway, that was another point of inspiration. The final thing I wanted to mention was in terms of ideas. So as a young assistant professor, I was thinking of what are the ideas that I might develop that would kind of define my career path thereafter. And I remember Bob always talking about verification and synthesis as being two sides of the same coin. Like, use verification in logic synthesis, but you also use principles of logic synthesis and techniques in verification, to speed up verification. And to me, I think that was a bit of an epiphany when I was an assistant professor. I said, well, actually, this is actually something that goes even deeper. If you broaden the term synthesis to mean generation, like we're all living in the world of generative AI today, right? So generating artifacts from specifications, then really, verification and synthesis, the connections go way beyond that. You can think of synthesis of proof artifacts in the verification process, and that has really defined my agenda and as a researcher ever since. So thank you, Bob. Thanks for the inspiration, thanks for the ideas, and happy birthday.
Thank you, Sanjeev.
So I'm going to take inspiration from some of those movies I've seen where they go back and forth in time. So I'm going to go back to IBM days. So I have a few things to share. We have tributes from Nani, and then we will have live tributes from Raul and Anton, followed by that. So let's start with Nani has sent a video. Let's see if it works. Began at the top left, right, was the speaker? What was this?
Happy birthday, Bob.
Oops.
I've known you for over 50 years.
Okay. I need to do something.
Sorry, turn it
This has to get out.
That's the volume.
Sorry, say again?
That's the volume. Turn that
volume
one
on max. Volume is the maximum on the.
No, on the. Turn that one up.
Oh, this one.
There you go.
I see. Oh, I was moving that guy. Okay, sorry. Let me go back here.
Where did you get your degree?
Happy birthday, Bob. I've known you for over 50 years and I've learned a lot from you about science and real life. Happy birthday. Our friendship goes back to the time of the IBM summer schools that never happened in the summer, by the way, to the great time that we had working on the Yorktown Silicon compiler with Ralph, Raul, and others, to the great and productive time spent in the collaboration between Berkeley and Stanford and Boulder with Alberto and Gary, and to the trips that we did, like skiing in the Alps. I wish you a very, very happy birthday, Bob.
Hello, Bob. Happy birthday. Have a great day on this special day.
Bye.
Rahul and then Anton.
Yeah, hi. I've just two short vignettes to share, right? I joined IBM in 1986, and Bob was my boss's Bob, right? Ralph Otten was leading the Yorktown Silicon compiler. He reported to Bob. And I remember shortly after I joined, I wanted to go on this trip, right, to a conference, and so Bob had to approve that, and he didn't, or it seemed to happen. And so I go into his office, and he had this big, nice chair that reclined, and I told him what I was after. And so he turns around, and there's this bunch of letters. In those days, there was no internet, right? You had to send memos. It's this paper, and he starts looking through it, and he finally finds the one I had written. He said, "Is this it?" "Yeah." And so he signs this. "Well, what do you do?" He says, "Well, every letter I get is bureaucratic. I just throw it behind my chair, and if it's important enough, people will come to my office, and then I work on it." And so the lesson to be what? You put work before bureaucracy, right? And I kept that research before bureaucracy my whole life. I think the other one, right, starts a little bit with something that is very actual. So we're working on logic synthesis, and I was really on high-level synthesis, but I enjoyed that. And so I'm looking through his programs, and there's a statement there, right, that if the name of a module contains the letters ALU, then you do something else. And so I go to Bob and say, "What does it mean?" He said, "Well, ALUs are arithmetic, they have XORs, and XORs are very difficult to optimize, as you know, in logic, and so I do something different, right?" And so this is what AI would do, right? I mean, you train an AI system, it will look at everything, right, at the names of things, right? And even though it may be a little bit devious, right, and it's what you do. But to make that into a positive story, one of the things then was that logic synthesis could do only a few thousand gates, right? I mean, on an IBM mainframe, and we're talking about the 80s. And so I'd come up with this brilliant idea that if you have a thing that is too big, well, you just cut it in two, and then you optimize each one independently, and then you put them together. And surprise, surprise, that even worked for things that could be done by logic synthesis, and because it's nonlinear, of course, it took a lot less time, right? And so I do this, I experiment, and so on and so forth, and we publish a paper at ICCAT, right? And that is one of the papers I have with Bob. And then I said, I'll make this into a journal paper. And he looks at me and says, no, we've gotten enough out of this. This is not good. so that's the other thing, right? I mean, keep your science honest, right? If you have a simple idea, right, don't make an elephant out of it. Thank you very much, Bob. You influenced me a lot early in my career, and that was amazing. Thanks.
Hi. So my path is a little bit different on how I met Bob. I wasn't a student at Berkeley at all. And when these guys were students, I was already working. So my first encounter with Bob was not personal. I was working at Lincoln Labs as we were looking in those days for the holy grail of silicon compilation. And we were generating logic, control logic that was absolutely horrible. So I said, there must be something better. And I came across a paper from Bob that is a very famous paper on extracting common subexpressions from kernels and all that. And I tried to read it, and I flunked the exam. I got a D minus. Barely could follow the stuff. And many years later, I learned it. I talked to you about it, and with your sense of humor and modesty, you said, "Oh, those papers were terrible." I couldn't understand. But then I moved to digital equipment, and many of you that are older, if you work on backstations or alphas or so, I was the one sending the machines this way. And Bob, Alberto, what we call the professorial quartet. It was Ernie Koo, Richard Newton, Alberto, and Bob would visit digital at the microprocessor group in Massachusetts. And we would have dinner, we would discuss. Certain part of the quartet will work with management to make sure that the machines would keep coming. Bob would sit with the workers and try to see, what are you doing? Why this way? Offering advice. We have here one person, Tom Chaipel, that probably ended up at Berkeley doing his PhD, thanks to Bob spending time with Tom right there. I'll close by saying that visits to Massachusetts and the East Coast were very dangerous. The logic synthesis workshop in 1989 took place in Maine, and when they were there, the Loma Prieta earthquake hit the region. And a few years later, there was a more terrible one that we were at dinner with the professorial quartet on a Sunday evening, and suddenly I see Richard and Alberto going to the phone. The Oakland fire was it blew up. Alberto very cleverly did something. He comes back with a smile and says, I phoned my fax machine and it beeped. So the house must be up. But except for that, it was a very profitable visit. We kept contact with Bob later. I moved to Cadence, then to Synopsys for many years. And one of the things that I can say is exactly repeat what you all have said. I always saw the interest of Bob on the problems, on talking to the people working on the problems, on generously offering his advice. He arrived to Berkeley when I think it was a peak of the first phase of the work on logic synthesis. And I think the thesis of several of you in the late 80s, early 90s was the culmination of that phase of what we would call algebraic methods in synthesis. Then DVDs took over and it was the Boolean face and all that. But Bob, very happy to be here on your 90th birthday and wish you many more years with Ruth in good health. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ansel. Okay, Bob wants to say something. So this should be a simple quiz. I don't know if the image quality can be seen from far. But you can make out three gentlemen in the picture. So starting from right, the one you can see.
That's Bob.
Okay, in the middle.
Cooler.
And on the left.
Rick Rubel.
All right. So this quiz was from Nari, so except him, who can make a guess about the venue? I will guess the people already. Where was this picture taken?
Definitely that.
No. I see. No.
We're missing one thing only. Okay, Nari, go ahead.
We went to RTP, I think. This was.
MCNC?
MCNC RTP. We had a. Not something.
Anyway, so Kurt looks very different now. So Kurt, could you please come up and pay your tributes?
You're very kind.
Yeah, I was thinking to start with the story, but this picture really reminds me of something. So back in those days, I had this habit of throwing people in the swimming pool and so forth, and Gabriel Saucier and things like that. And Bob, as much as he's like that, would always chuckle about that. And then one time I start to grab Rick McGear, and he, in such a fatherly way, comes, no, stop, so protectively. That was really Bob. So, I read a lot of Eastern literature and look for the wisdom and so forth, and yet in moments like this, I find myself always looking at like Facebook posts and LinkedIn posts, for wisdom. And there was a LinkedIn post which starts out with the banner "success," and then goes to a video and saying to this, CEO of something or other, saying, "Success is when your grown-up children want to come see you again." And we have the faculty version of that is when your graduate students want to come see you again, right? And we have such an amazing faculty. Since I joined here 25 years ago, I swear I'm humbled every single day of the year by the quality of our faculty. But I would say we have no more successful faculty member than Bob Davies. Bob, happy birthday.
So let me share something. Back when we were Bob's student, and Bob is very generous. He gives time to so many people, not to just his students, but to other students of other professors who did not have enough time for those people. And we used to resent to that. Why is Bob spending so much time with other professors' students? And we will see some of that in the trivia. So next question I have is an interesting one. So this student, he was not Bob's student, but Bob mentored him a lot. So he gives a successful talk, and then Bob asked him a question, and he fainted. Many people should know the answer, but I want to see who, not sure, etc. Like, how about younger generation?
Who saw it?
Who saw it? Okay. Bob must have seen it. Bob is raising his hand because he asked the question. Okay, Mukul, I want to give a chance to Mukul.
I've heard it. I haven't obviously.
Yeah.
There you go.
Was it Pranav? Yes.
Correct, it was Pranav Asher. So,
This is cat group folklore.
what I heard was the follow-up from Sharad was that when he regained his consciousness, then Bob continued with his question. And maybe, just maybe, that must end the episode behind Pranav's mind because he fell sick exactly on this day. So he couldn't attend today. Unfortunately, he's not well.
By the way, I told him that as soon as he recovers, Bob's going to ask any questions.
I see. So, Nari, you were there. You want to come back and come and share and whatever else you go.
Well, it's not fair, right? Pranav is not here, so I'm just going to give two things that I think I learned from Bob, right? So, I look back and I think when I first met Bob, Bob was as old as I am, right? And so I'm like thinking, here's this person, and the thing that struck me was his childlike curiosity. Everything was a fun problem. He would look at it in different ways. And I think that's something I try to keep with me all my life. That's an amazing way that he taught all of us to solve problems. And I still remember the one summer that we were all trying to understand verification. And Bob had Bob Krishan come in and spend that entire summer, and it was so exciting. Even though verification was not a primary area for many of us, but we learned a lot. So I think childlike curiosity is like one thing I take away from Bob. Thank you. The second thing is not academic. Okay? I didn't know Bob was very competent. Okay? But this is what happened when we went to IWLS and we decided to play full court basketball, 5-on-5, and Bob came, right? Bob was, Hamid, you'll remember this, right? We were half the age that Bob was, and Bob was still showing us moves. Learned a lot how to be competitive on the field, but let's not talk about how it ended.
That's a quiz question.
That's a quiz question. Okay. Bob, you want to say something?
Who of you saw that?
Those who were playing in the court that time.
We were on the court. Everybody was there. I think Tom, you were there. Tom Scheipel, you were there. And I think Bob played basketball in his youth, at a very high level, right?
High school.
High school, yeah.
He was in the Ames newspaper.
Oh, wait.
Awesome.
There's
a question?
A question on that one too.
Okay.
So, thank you, Nari. Thank you very much.
I have one more. I'm not done, man. I'm not done.
Please, go
So,
ahead.
we talked about the Erdős numbers.
Yes.
So, we know the person, the gentleman between Bob and Erdős.
Hoffman.
What are the papers? What is the paper that Bob did with Hoffman? And what is the paper Hoffman did with Erdős? I think the first paper is very interesting. If you've done circuit simulation and you don't remember it,
shame on
you.
Complete the
Shame on you. I think there was a paper on the inverse of matrices and its application to DC stuff. So Bob's surprised. Okay, and I think the paper between Hoffman and Erdős was more on something to do with diameters of graphs and degrees and stuff. Okay.
Thank you, Nari. Thank you. So, Nari, that was a good. Oh, sorry.
Listen for the bell.
Okay.
That's for you.
Close to your mouth, Dad. First or the second here, I'm not sure which came first.
Oh, I see.
That's a question for you, not you.
Oh, I.
The topic was how to schedule a tennis match.
Oh.
Seriously?
Were you good by doubles? With anybody Oh boy, but you're up.
Oh, common.
Question was. Wait, say that again. The question was for how many numbers? What?
This may work better.
You gotta put it on your lips.
Close to this.
Bob has one paralyzed vocal cord, and so this is my.
I'm speaking to them.
Oh, much better.
Close, close.
The question was the number of trials necessary to schedule a mixed double round robin tennis tournament. What's the maximum number?
What's the maximum number?
Oh.
Schedule round robin.
The question was, for what numbers could you schedule the maximum mixed double round tournament?
Wow. Bob remembers that now. Amazing. That's.
What's the answer?
You know, when Bob got the mic, I should have been walking out. I knew it was a question.
But that's a good segue into the next question. So now you talked about.
What's the answer? We need to guess. What's the answer? What's the answer? Yeah.
What's the answer? On the spot. Read the paper.
Read the paper.
Well, the title of the number of paper is every number but 2, 3, and 4.
Every number but 2, 3, and 4. The title of the paper is every number but 2, 3, and 4.
Thank you, Bob.
Amazing memory.
Thank you, Ruth.
So, and Nari talked about Bob's competitiveness on basketball. When I joined Berkeley, I had never played tennis. I go to CAT group. There are many tennis players, some very competitive. I still remember a game between Ramin and Raji Murgai. They were in finals. They are both tired, like they can barely move like this, come back, and this game went on and on. Then I learned that Bob used to be the CAT group champion for years apparently. So much so that when the first person who defeated him, it became a legend. So I guess, yeah, again, I mean, not this, so who was the person who defeated Bob in CAT group tournament? Let's see. Oh, no, Bob has lost. Okay, well, only 2 people know. Wow. Okay, Bob, do you remember? Bob would be the good person to answer this question.
First student never beat him.
So, this question came from Ruth, so she must know.
I think it was Phil from MIT.
Srini was named us. So with that, I would like to play Srini's tribute to Bob.
Hey Bob, happy 90th birthday.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Just take again.
Hold it while you adjust.
No, that was not the one.
You're clearly not maxed out.
Hey Bob, happy
Okay.
90th birthday.
All right.
Goodness, I just have such great memories of you from back in 1986 when you came to Berkeley for the first time.
86.
And then, of course, you went back to IBM and then became a tenured professor, but that was after I'd left. But tennis at La Loma, they've turned it into lacrosse courts now. It's kind of annoying. But all those tennis games, doubles, singles, those technical conversations. I remember you couldn't get into the Vatican in the summer of '86 because you were wearing shorts. And then you tried to get in through a side entrance and they stopped you there too. I sent a picture to Rajiv of you and me in 1986 outside the Vatican. Or at least I think it was outside the Vatican. Somewhere in Rome. Anyway, you've been such a great role model to so many people, including myself. I'm just so grateful to you for really all you've done for me personally and professionally. You were a reader in my PhD thesis. I'd watch you present and interact with students, and I've taken lessons from that. I've read, obviously, all your seminal papers and tried to match them and failed. I know I haven't kept in touch very much over the years, but I kept getting updates from Sharad, who I'm regularly in touch with. And I guess the last time we met was when I was doing a sabbatical at Berkeley, and you were so kind to lend me your office, that beautiful corner office in Corey Hall for an entire semester. I think you soon retired after that because I went back there and there was someone else in it. But hey, about time, right? I want to live the next few decades of my life like you have, and I think I tried to take a lot from you for the last 30 to 60 or the last 3 decades as well, and it's been a pleasure to know you. I've met Ruth a bunch of times. You're just such a sweet couple. I remember meeting your son in L'Aquila. I can't remember which one. It's far back. But I'm so sorry to miss your party. As I said, I hope you're recovering now and you'll be in full health by the time the party rolls around. It's a couple of weeks away. And the next time I'm at Berkeley, I'll make sure to walk up Berkeley Hills and come and say hi to you and Ruth. So all the best, and have a great, great party.
Woo! That was an awesome tribute. Srini is a legend of his time. This is the picture he was talking about. Looks like, yes, Bob.
I just want to say that when I first started playing running tree in tennis school, he wasn't very good.
So you taught him. That's when he defeated you.
However, every year we watched Wimbledon.
Yeah.
He got better and better and better. Just quit.
Wow, incredible. All right, next question. So Bob had an intern and Fields Medal. I mean, this is the Nobel Prize of Mathematics, right? Bob, do you know the answer? The question is, which intern of Bob's went on to win Fields Medal? So I see the IBMers here, of course, know the answer, and so does. Okay. And then, Sat? You know, okay. McMullen. McMullen, yes. And at least.
That summer, we took on 4 interns, 1 for each area. We were going to study in logic, synthesis, and Gary Hockdale. Well, he did the best favor anyone could ever do. He said to me, Bob, you have to be on critical as an intern student. Nobody else take on him for the summer. Well, he was one of the smartest students I ever knew. Well, and he would code in a program called APL, and he would code by touch typing. Just very fast.
Yeah.
So, it was, what else?
This is good. This is good. Thank you, Bob. Yes, Sharad wants to share something. Hang on.
I think everybody here actually has seen the classic paper, McCullen Drayton 87. That's the kernel, co-kernel paper that we've all seen. So that's good. That's the Kurt McCullen, same guy.
And the white book, right? The white book we used to have. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Just like Nani had this red book, famous red book. Before I move, next slide, I would like to acknowledge Bob's family here. So Ruth is here, of course, but can Jim and Mike stand up, and Debbie as well, the 2 kids and daughter-in-law. Thank you. Because the next question goes to. So there is Ruth, Bob, and Mike. So Bob had a Phi Beta Theta fraternity pedal, which he was savoring for a long time. Finally, he put to use.
We know in our family.
Come on, you can just deduce your approach on people who can deduce things. Figure it out.
Oh, it looks like I didn't put the right animation here. The answer is given here. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't ask Ruth exactly how it was used. This is Ruth's question, Ruth's answer.
Okay, it was the spanking paddle and
Well,
what's the difference?
Ruth, we will correct that. Your original quiz paper will fix it, so that you don't make that mistake. Thank you, Bob, for correcting it, and thank you, Mike, for being a good sport about it. Oh, and this is before I go to the next question. So Bob's competitiveness is, in sports, basketball and tennis, we heard, it also goes to driving. And so I have driven with Bob. He and I drove together to Granley Bakken, and we made it in the fastest time, I think. And but his driving skill goes on beyond the surface vehicle, but also on water vehicle. So this was Lake Winnipesaukee. I don't know the spelling here, but he got a speeding ticket by Marine Patrol. And I would like to know, among the audience here, who was on the speeding in the boat when he got the ticket? Anybody here? Ruth was there. So apparently there were 10 plus CAT group students there. And yeah, and Bob remembered the incident. In fact, when I went back to the hospital after the family event, and he described the whole thing, how this was a group of people. He went out for an outing. As he came back, and there was a big crowd there, people were wanting to park. So Bob decided to take a shortcut and went to a route which was not legal. Is that the short and substance of the thing? Why you got the ticket, Bob? I see. Oh, this again made the mistake in the animation here. Toby, I have fond memories of seeing Bob with Toby in many, many different pictures. Okay, next question. Bob had invited several guest speakers. In one of the classes, this person gave us a speech or gave a lecture, but was later grilled on revealing secrets about Intel. Who was this guest lecturer? Yeah, that is Bob's talented daughter-in-law.
I did not reveal anything.
And this is about Ruth. So, she, as a young lady, had danced with this student's father. I don't know what kind of dance was it. Is it like some wedding event? But who was that student? Oh, nobody else saw it besides Ruth.
Ellen?
No. Okay, a hint will be good enough. That gentleman is Japanese.
Oh, what's an hobby?
Yes.
Yes. And with that, I would like to invite Yoshi to pay tribute.
Thank you. I vaguely remember this story. My father was very bragging about this. It's 1972, if I remember correctly, in ice cast in Mexico City or something. I still remember this big sombrero that he came back to Japan with. He was bragging about that story later. But anyway, Bob, happy birthday! And I learned literally everything about not only about academic things and research, but everything living in the U.S. From Bob. I was so terrible when I first came to Berkeley from Japan, and I was not even able to speak English. My first challenge was to buy successfully sandwich in a sandwich shop without getting anybody frustrated, and so on and so many things. Rajiv asked me to share some personal humiliating story of myself in relation to Bob, and I thought about many things. I kept sending sort of wrong papers to his summer house in New Hampshire, or so on. There are so many, but one thing that I want to share is that I was in Berkeley CAD group when I was in early 20s to late 20s, and one of highlights in my life, of course, besides the fact that I was able to work with you guys, was that I met this woman whom I eventually married to, and that's Mika, my wife, in a little garage sale in Berkeley, and that was I think early in one semester in probably third year of my PhD or something like that. And so that semester entirely my priority was on her and not on research. And so I started to get delayed on all the work. I eventually started to skip classes. And then, you all know Bob's style lecturer said that he really let students figure out things and respect all the initiatives and so on. But one day Bob came to my desk at 5:50 and said, Yoshi, I have to meet with you every Monday, 9 a.m., 1:01. And so I was very surprised that I realized, okay, so I'm in trouble, that he's not happy. And so I started to show up on this Monday 101 weekly meetings. And I was so nervous, but even in those situations, he didn't change his style, and he didn't really micromanage things or gave the specific instruction, the next steps and so on. He just kept asking questions. What is your status and what is the next step that you want to say? This is all technical things about some conjectures, whether we will prove it or disprove it and so on and so forth. And throughout that, the rest of the semester, we continued. This was one of the, so important experience for me. That many years later, I became in a position to work, lead projects and work with junior people. That experience always reminded me that how to work with others, even though they are young and junior. Always respect. Let them figure out. Totally let their initiative, and that end up with much better results than trying to steer those junior people. And so I treasure that, and thank you very much for all the important lessons, Bob. And it's so funny that this is one of the best things that I remember, I treasure throughout my career. And this all triggered with my accidental encounter of my future life.
Thank you. So about 10 odd minutes before we break for dinner, so there's a few more quiz questions I have. This was interesting. So I would say many of us would recognize, connect with this one. Bob goes through the content so diligently and creates this red mark. So this student had submitted a paper and got a lot of red marks, and then was asked to resubmit. The good friend of this student kindly advised that resubmit the same paper because they don't read it again. But not Bob. He made the same red marks again and gave back the paper. Question is, who was the student? And bonus question, who was this friend to advise that? So let's see, I see Subarna raising the hand, Vigyan is raising the hand. Anybody else? Subarna, I'll take you. No, not me. Yes, first answer is correct. Murgai. No, he's not that naughty. My guess is the friend was Vigyan. I can only imagine Vigyan suggesting to Gitanjali, no, submitted. Bob is not going to read it. Yeah, go ahead, Bob. Bob wants to say something. Oh man, this is. Oh, no, you never knew who it was. Okay, so the next question deals with Bob's legendary sense of humor. I don't know. Nobody talked about it. I'm very surprised. On 21st October event, the family event, everyone is talking about Bob's sense of humor. All his grandkids, young and old, went to see Grandpa, and then based on how he's behaving and how he's talking, I think he's in good shape. So, but my backgrounds, I come from, so Vigyan, Adnan, Gitanji, Amit, and many others share the same alma mater, IIT Kanpur. In our times, you have to revere the professors. You can't joke around. There's no chance. I got chalks thrown at me because I was napping. And I don't know if others had a similar story. So it was refreshing for me coming to Berkeley and CAT group and especially interacting with Bob. And then I had been debating to share this one or not. So this question is, who were on Bob's boat in Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire when Bob narrated a risky joke involving a Belgian and a Dutch?
Can we hear the joke?
So the answer is, it was Bob and Ruth, and late Ralph Orton and Clara, and it was me, and this is my wife, Renu Mena. So we were visiting New Hampshire, and by the way, I said this joke in the family event. I was very scared to say it, and this is all grown up, so it's okay. So the joke was like this. And then Bob is driving, and he's driving his motorboat at a full speed, and we are all like, I was feeling very cold, and Bob starts joking about this. So there is a Belgium and the Netherlands, they border each other. So there is a body of water at the border, and there would be a Belgian and a Dutch fisherman. They go fishing every day. So the Belgian is having great luck. Every day he would put his fishing rod in the water, grab lots of fish in the bowl, and then go home. And not so much, Dutch guy is having a lot of hard time. He's barely catching anything. Finally he got tired of it and he says, friend, how exactly do you go about it? How is it that we are in the same point of a body of water and you are catching so much fish? So Belgian says, well, it's very simple. When I wake up in the morning to fish, I look at my wife, which way she is sleeping. She is sleeping left hand side. I put in the fishing rod in the water, saying, Mother Mary, or Holy Christ, something like that. If she is sleeping on the right hand side, then I say Hallelujah, and I put the fishing rod. So that guy was very impressed. And then his luck turned around. And then weeks after weeks, he is also catching lots of fish. He was very happy. After some time, weeks pass by, and then the Belgian guy sees the Dutch guy one more time. He's very sad. Why are you sad? Oh, I've been having such hard luck. You taught me this trick, and that worked very well. But lately, my wife has been sleeping on her back. So what do you do when she's sleeping on her back? Belgian said, that day I don't come to fish. That was the joke. I got it. I really didn't get it. And I was shocked. One more thing I have to add here. So it was very cold, and the Bob was driving very fast. Of course, he's used to getting tickets on the boat. And then Ruth is also feeling very cold for some reason. And then because it's very windy. So finally Ruth decides to hide under the space there. You can go underneath. And then she drags some kind of a curtain. So now she says, proudly she announces, now there cannot be any more wind where I am. And then Bob is driving, she says, only the ones you make. And so I said this joke at family event, and I went to hospital to visit Bob. And I told Bob, see, everybody was raving about your sense of humor. I couldn't stop myself. I thought I have to go and I have to say this joke. Bob says, no, it's totally wrong. I never said these things. And then you know what he goes on to do? You may have seen spirometer, right? Where you are supposed to blow and the ball goes up. And it tests your strength of your lungs, right? The ball needs to hit the top of the spirometer. So Bob shows me the spirometer and says, look at this. I can make it go to the top. And then he turns it upside down. So that is Bob. All right. So with the last one we have, before we go to the dinner break. So Bob advised so many of us in doctoral thesis. Only one person had the privilege of being advised on how to choose a life partner. Who was that? Bob is also looking puzzled. No, you advised a student. Okay. Any guesses? I guess probably not. Bob has a guess. Okay. He will deny this, I think. Fifth Amendment.
You're going to say the answer?
Yeah, go ahead, say it.
Better. So I think I would let the person who comes to speak. So that was Vigyan, by the way. So we can hang on one second. So this is very interesting. Brayton's algorithm. I think Vigyan will elaborate on that a little more. So I remember I asked all of you or many of you to send me your grad school picture, and most of you did, but Vigyan didn't. So I found this picture after a lot of hard work. Look at this. I searched for Vigyan, image search. The top one is Bing. The lower one is Google. Look at the kind of images that came. It was very surprising. Except for the first one, with all these yogis and then even Narendra Modi, and so very strange. Anyway, so Vigyan, now to you.
Thanks, Rajiv.
Yes, works.
So actually, first I just want to clarify on the Gitanjali question. So I was having a very tough time at Berkeley, and I was about to leave Berkeley because I'd been trying to do a master's for 3 years, and I wasn't making much progress with the same unnamed advisor that Abhi had. And then Adnan introduces me to Bob, so I took a class with Bob, and then Bob said, I'll take you as a student, until he found out that my advisor was the same guy. He was very reluctant to take me as a student, but eventually he did. I'm forever thankful for that. I wasn't doing very well at Berkeley. I was going to leave. Eventually I did get a master's, but that check worked with my previous advisor. So I just thought I'd pass on to Gitanjali, who was, she used to send her papers to Bob, and they would come back with more red than black. And she was just getting tired of it. It's like, okay, just why don't you try to submit the same thing and see what happens. So anyway, the story which Bob just said it, I'll repeat it, is that when we're talking about, in the early stages, we're talking about dating and getting married and stuff. Bob gives me this advice, which is the mathematical theorem that Bob talks about, is that date a woman, and no matter how good she is or how bad she is, don't marry her. And then go on to the next one, and then find the next woman who's better than the first one, and that's the wife you want to marry. So I don't know if Bob followed that advice or not. But Sonali, my wife, is not here, so I'll just say that I'm so glad that I did not follow that advice. Well, I think the thing which I keep with me for my life, working with Bob, is not only seeing how much curiosity he has and the desire for learning, but also the humility with which he learned things. We would take these classes with informal verification. Bob was learning formal verification too. Bob Kushan was taking some classes, and we would do some reading group. And we would just sit in the audience and ask any simple or dumbest question that he could. And they just gave us so much confidence as students to learn to learn. For me, that's something which I try to keep with me in my career and with the people I work with. And it's just so powerful to learn and to learn with such humility. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, well, let the dining bell ring then. We shall have allocated about 30 minutes for us. It's a buffet dinner. Please collect your dinner, chit chat, etc., and we'll resume, and then we'll have cake after dinner. Thank you. We have more tributes, video and live as well. everyone. So we will restart with some video tributes. I would encourage everyone to maybe take the last helping of the dinner, and then we have a dessert break in another 20 minutes or so, and that will be, hopefully we'll be ending by then. Okay, Bob is here. All right. Just a quick. So when I was planning the event, and then I was looking at how many people wanted to speak, how many wanted to give the video tributes, and so on. And I was trying to do the calculation in my head, how much time it would take to have the whole event. And then Bob, how long would the Bob want to stay in the event? So that time he was in East Coast, so I called Bob. I said, Bob, lots of people want to speak, etc. And should we have them just speak for 30 seconds or 1 minute or something? And then his answer was, why? And I asked him, then how long can you stay in the program? He said, however long, it doesn't really matter. This was, and then he said, as long as you don't keep me standing. So while sitting was his only constraint. So I was so glad for him to now, still Bob is going strong. So we start with a few video tributes and then we'll continue. So this is Bill Lin.
Hello, Bob. Happy 90th birthday. Sorry that I cannot be there to celebrate your birthday with you. So I hope you don't mind that I'm sending you this short video message instead. I have very fond memories of Berkeley, and I feel very fortunate to have been a part of the Berkeley CAG group. I also remember your kindness in many ways, including one time when you and Ruth invited all of us to your house in Berkeley. In any case, you've been an incredible inspiration to all of us. So thank you. I hope you're recovering well and that you'll be in full recovery for your celebration. Happy birthday, Bob.
This is Eugene Goldberg. I remember meeting him, but anybody else wants to talk about his background? I don't remember when.
He was a visitor in the group, and then he came to Berkeley Labs.
I see. All right, okay, quick interactive one.
Okay, guys.
Guys, quiet down. All right, pop quiz. You can't quite see the characters on the screen, so those who can, maybe participate. So I'm gonna walk you through, identify all characters. Start with the yellow box. Okay, that's Bob. We got it. Next one. Next yellow.
Krishna.
No. Bob knows. Okay, yeah, there you go. So Bob is hard to see, so this image is not very crisp. We are just identifying the characters on the screen and they highlighted by the yellow box. The one that is highlighted in yellow or the box is Adnan. Adnan is here. Can you recognize yourself?
You want hair, man.
Okay, next one. This character I do not know. So I have a question mark. Anybody recognizes that person?
Zoom.
No? Zoom. Okay, well, leave it alone. How about this lady? No? Okay. I think this is not going very well. Let's move on to the... Oh yeah, this one maybe somebody can help. So this person behind here, I'm thinking is Tom Scheipel or Mark Beardsley.
It's Mark. Seriously, it's Mark.
Oh, Bob said Beardsley?
Yeah, it's Mark.
You can see from there, that's Beardsley. Oh my God. That's awesome.
That's great. That's
really
great.
a good-looking guy. I'm not sure that last one.
That's Greg.
Back left.
The first one, sorry.
Go back. Go back.
Yes.
Go back.
This is Greg.
Really good-looking.
Greg
I think. Yeah. Really good-looking guy.
What's his name?
I don't know. I think it might be. What is his name? Jim. That might be Jim.
Here, this one?
No.
Oh, this one.
That's Greg.
No, that one right there. That's me.
That yellow square right there, that's Jim.
That's me.
That's you?
Thank you.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Nari is saying somebody else anyway. So
That's Ramin.
Yes, Ramin. Yeah, that's Ramin. And then next one is also clear. Bob Kurshan. And then a special prize for the lady.
How would you know?
Yeah, I know. So.
That's Mary, Regine.
Oh! Wow!
That's Mary.
Okay, this is an interesting one.
You're doing good.
Good. And then, okay, so let me give you the answer. Who knows the answer? Ruth knows the answer because she gave me the question. Bob knows the answer, okay. Want to say, Bob, anything? Yeah, Baruch Stern is the answer. Interesting thing is, he was concerned about Bob says that that whether he will complete his education or not. He did not finish his PhD. Bob is still around. So,
Last time.
this is another interesting one.
Oh, Alan?
Woo!
Alan is over here.
Perpetual. Yeah. So let me share something. I think over the years I've heard two students or two who were considered godson of Bob. I think one of them I heard was Hamid long ago. So Hamid, you're up next. You pay tribute. This was, I think, in 2000 time frame. Like, yeah, you were quite involved with Bob at that point.
Earlier.
Later. I'm the first batch. Hi, everyone. It has been about 31 years up there. Okay. 31 years since I graduated from UC Berkeley. During my time there, I was fortunate to work with Professor Brayton. I joined this group in spring of 1988 and became his first PhD student who did not transfer from another advisor. During my time at Berkeley, don't-care computation optimization was a hot topic of research. Professor Brayton's passion for the topic ignited my own interest after taking his class. Professor Brayton always welcomed new ideas about don't-cares. I would often go to his office without an appointment to share my ideas, and he would always take time to listen and give me feedback, even when he was about to leave for a cat group tennis match. I was always amazed by his patience, especially when we worked on writing papers. It would sometimes take 20 iterations to convert a rough draft into a paper that could be submitted. Mrs. Brayton told me a few times that he would stay up late correcting my drafts. Upon graduation, I asked Professor Brayton what type of work I should pursue. He simply said, do something that you're passionate about. Bob himself embodies passion for our field. Happy birthday, Bob.
Yes, this was, look at that. Ellen, I don't know where I got this picture from. Okay, this should be a good trivia. So Bob and Roberto met this person the first time. They both mispronounced the name.
Richard.
Okay, the hint. They mispronounced this person's last name. Okay, Bob has an answer. Okay, let's see. Let's hear Bob. Yeah, somebody got it. That's correct. In fact, I used to think it was Shipley until I was corrected.
I think Krishna used to call you.
Yeah. I have a few more speakers right now, so I would like to call them. We'll start with Ramin first, and then Adnan and Shaz.
Okay. This is my turn? Well, I had prepared this speech, Bob, but I guess I should just say whatever comes to mind. I must be the only one who has lived with you as a student. I think we lived together for a month in Delft. And I guess the biggest takeaway from that was that there was really no events. There was no takeaway. It was just very good. The most memorable part of it was that, if you remember, Mary came for a visit, and I asked you if she could come, and you said, sure. And then the landlady showed up, and Mary opened the door, and the landlady, who's very nosy, said, are you Mrs. Brayton? And that story actually got back to Ruth, so we would always talk about that encounter. Anyways, it was a great trip. The other kind of really good memory was our tennis matches. I was younger than you, but I could just never get you to quit. You know, I just remember that you would always return. Like, I always thought this ball he's not going to get to, but you always found a way to get to it. And I think that kind of has been one of your hallmarks, is how persistent you have been. And I think that was definitely the case with the grad students. You are incredibly warm, supportive, patient. You have worked with many difficult people, present company included, and you have managed to, create and foster a positive environment. All of us are here because you did such a good job creating a wonderful research group for us. So I came to Berkeley in 1990. I was almost a transfer. I guess when I came, I was advisorless. Alberto had recruited me in from Cadence, and you met me, and kind of immediately, I think I knew you were the right person for what I wanted to do, and I think you felt the same way. The other great memory from those years, I think, is the verification theory seminar that we put together with some really, really intelligent people. Adnan Aziz, Tom Scheipel, Vigan Singhal. There are many more people, but that was kind of one of the highlights of my life. I feel like we did really good work there. It was really an accomplishment for us, and it was all possible because of the environment you created. Anyway, thanks so much. The one last thing I wanted to say is that it's just such an inspiration that, we have this deep learning seminar, and I think it was a month ago or 6 weeks ago, and you were there for an hour and a half and listened, asked a lot of questions, joked at Hamid. There's no class that Hamid hasn't taken. So anyway, it's been a great inspiration. Thank you very much.
This was 6 months ago?
A month ago.
A month ago.
6 weeks ago.
Yeah. Thank you, Ramin. Adnan, are you around? Oh, before I introduce Adnan, so the tidbit about Adnan is that Bob was teaching 290 LS, and Adnan takes this course, and his head is way below the water. Then he dropped the course and took some algorithm course first, but because the course was so interesting that he wanted to take it and with the proper preparation.
Hey, I'm Adnan. I was a Bob student in the 90s, and for the better part of the last decade, I've been a research scientist at Meta. And at Meta, our mission is to connect the world, and we do it using AI. Specifically, we use a framework called PyTorch. It's a wildly popular OSS framework for writing AI models. At Meta, we operate at a scale that would have just been like beyond belief when I was a grad student. And in particular, we have a lot of computational problems related to performance. And every time I see a problem, I can always map it back to something I learned from Bob when I took 290LS, the logic synthesis class. So as an example, like one of the problems we have is how do we overlap communication and computation. And I said, you know, this sounds a lot like retiming. And I know somebody who did that, Sharad Malik, and I hired one of his students actually to implement very similar transforms in PyTorch. And similarly, when we do something called operator fusion, right, to minimize memory bandwidth, all that looks a whole lot like full simplify if you've worked in sys and miss. So anyhow, to cut a long story short, I wanted to say I'm very grateful to Bob for having first of all taken me on as a student, and then for having taught me mathematical modeling, taught me combinatorial optimization, having instilled in me a commitment to excellence that I had never had before, and then finally for giving me a lifelong love of mathematics. I hope you take some pride, Bob, in the fact that all your training is helping connect the world and make it a better place. Thank you very much.
Woo! Awesome. So, Shaz, before you come in, there is a tribute by Ken Macmillan that I would like to play. So hopefully. Let's see.
Hi everyone. I wish I could be there in person with you to celebrate Bob, but I'm glad at least for the chance to join you in a virtual way. So Bob, I hope that you're recovering well and that you're able to be there physically in the room today.
Yes, he is.
At this kind of event, I think it's best to share something personal. So I'd like to tell you an anecdote about how Bob affected me personally in a very meaningful way early in my career. So as you know, Bob is one of the most consistently positive people that you will ever meet in academia or research. And you may also know that people in my area of formal methods are not necessarily known for their sunny dispositions. Sometimes they can be a bit critical of each other's work, and sometimes they get into disagreements over priority, and occasionally it even comes to violence, not too often. So when I was a grad student, this was the world that I lived in, and I suppose I sort of thought it was normal, but I learned otherwise from Bob. So Bob had graciously agreed to be on my thesis committee, and I had just finished a draft of my thesis, and to be honest, I wasn't feeling very good about it. I think I was even a little depressed because I thought that it wasn't very good, and I was feeling very nervous about it. So I sent a copy, probably a copy on paper by physical mail, to Bob. And very quickly, I got back an email from Bob with a comment that was so generous that it almost made me weep because it just lifted this weight of doubt off my shoulders, and it gave me the confidence to think that I was doing okay. So this was very meaningful to me. And Bob also helped in more practical ways. For example, by pulling apart my thesis document into chapters and passing them around to his group, which was a really great research group at that time. And from them, I got the most useful and constructive feedback on my thesis that I got from anywhere. And I think that that was really indicative of the kind of a group that Bob was running. So, Bob, I want to thank you for being positive and supportive. That meant a lot to me. And now, like Bob, actually, I've recently made the transition from industry to academia. So that means that Bob is my role model now. And when I'm looking at the work of a student that might perhaps not be everything that it could be, I try to think, what would Bob say? I think that I'm never going to live up to the standard that Bob set as a research mentor, but I'm working on it. So, Bob, Thanks for the positive influence. I wish you good health and all the best. Bye.
This was awesome. I remember those times we were developing this environment, VIS, and then Ken was developing SMV. Then we used to have this competitive stuff going on. But it's so great, like it's heartwarming to see how grateful he feels about Bob. So really, Bob, not only is influencing students of other professors at Berkeley, but across the country and around the world, perhaps. So we have a couple of more, the Shahs. In fact, after that, we have only one left, which is of Alberto. I saw a mail from Alberto that he finally managed to upload the content. But if anybody else would like to speak in extempore, you're welcome to. Here goes, Charles.
Well, thank you, Rajiv. I don't know what to say. So I joined the CAD group. I came to Berkeley, and Bob was very kind to me, as were everybody else. As was everybody else in the CAD group. I had the best environment possible for a young graduate student, no doubt because of Bob's influence, because he was always around, and you could always go to him and talk to him. It was amazing. So he was kind, and he took me on, and the senior graduate students, they mentored me. So what can I say? So Bob, he worked on logic synthesis, and in logic synthesis, the idea is that you raise the level of abstraction, and you let programmers work with a higher level of abstraction, and you let machines or tools get it down into something executable. Now that thing has stayed with me for all this time, and I continue to work on that. And thank you, Bob. And it's so wonderful to see everybody here. Bob's birthday party is an excuse to see everybody here, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
It's so heartwarming that everybody almost wished that Bob would be here in person, and here he is. So amazing. I think Matthias was also probably running into here. This is the one. Okay, let's see. How do we do it? We display.
Hey Bob, hello from Switzerland. I wish you all the best for your 90th birthday. That's amazing. I wish I could have been there today with you and all your guests, but unfortunately I can't travel much these days because I have a new addition to the family. Say hi to Ergi. Happy birthday!
Wonderful. Okay, Bob Albert, Chris Leonard, did we? Okay, Chris Leonard.
Hey Bob, this is Chris. You may remember me as Richard's Aussie import from the early 90s. And I'm back here in sunny Melbourne, sending you this message from the other side of the world, along with my mate Oscar. And we would just like to wish you a really happy 90th birthday and fantastic decade ahead.
Wow. Let's see. Eugene, one, did we play? We played that one. I guess it got.
Can you play it again? Because I don't think it went through.
Yeah, let's try that.
Hi everybody. My acquaintance with Bob started when I sent him a letter describing some improvement to the famous two-level logic optimizer called Espresso. It was so long time ago that I actually sent a regular letter rather than an email. This got me to Berkeley, where I spent the first week at Bob's place. I was hugely impressed with his walk-in refrigerator, mostly filled up with red wine and peanut butter. Later, Bob played an important role in my getting hired by Cadence Berkeley Labs. As Ken Macmillan describes this process, Alberta and Bob just give the people a little push, and they roll down the hill to Cadence Berkeley Labs. Bob is one of the most supportive and inspiring people I ever met. He always showed his genuine excitement if I shared some good idea with him, and never displayed his disappointment otherwise. The presence of people like Bob is absolutely crucial in life and serves as a powerful catalyst in any kind of activity, but especially in scientific research. Happy birthday to you, Bob. I wish you and your family good health and happiness in the many years to come.
Eugene was kind enough. The first cut he had sent to audio was quite poor, and then he re-recorded this whole thing. Okay, so this is the, we have two more to go. This is Sriram. He's at Bangalore, right? Bangalore Microsoft, yes.
Hello, Bob. Happy 90th birthday, and thank you for being such a wonderful professor and mentor during my time at Berkeley. Best wishes to you on your 90th again.
Another instance of somebody else's student taking Bob's time. He was Tom Hensinger's student. Oh, okay. So this is an instance where somebody has left Bob to go somewhere else. Oh. This is Tom Hensinger.
Dear Bob, I wish you a happy birthday, a speedy recovery, and many more healthy and fulfilling years. I still very fondly remember my time in Berkeley from 1996 to 2004. It was a great privilege to be your colleague and collaborator. I'm sorry that I cannot be there in person, so I send you these greetings in this electronic way from Vienna, Austria. Happy birthday.
Okay, so we have Alberto's one left, and while I was planning this whole thing, and Jajit had raised the concern, how do you keep Alberto's timing in control? Well, the best way to do it is he has recorded it. We can fast forward it if it is too long. And the reason he was having difficulty is this 85 megabyte file. So, any last person to speak before I put Alberto on there, because now they're not going to get a chance. Oh, Mukul wants to say something. And okay, all right.
So, Sharad reminded me that my first acquaintance with Bob was 1992 Tau, and I was first fresh from Russia, and then when I met Bob and Sharad, I saw that every university in US is like Princeton, and every professor in US is like Bob. And then when I went to US in 2000, can you imagine my disappointment? So I was lucky to work with Bob in Cadence Berkeley Lab, and one thing that I remember is not that much how big of a scientist he was, though he was a big scientist, but how humble he was. And every time he worked with a student and coming to Berkeley, I was always fascinated how he was able to bring us either to his level or he was downgraded to our level that we feel equal. And I felt like this is a unique quality, and I thought that Bob was pretty unique in this way. And one other thing that everybody kind of pointed here is that Bob never lost interest in what he was doing. Claude Shannon, who was the father of informatics, he quit about 50, which was never the case for Bob. So thank you, Bob, for being part of our.
Okay, I haven't planned anything, so I'm just going to speak off the cuff. So while I was sitting, I was thinking of this, a dialogue from this, The Karate Kid, one of my favorite movies, that there are no bad students, only bad teachers. Well, my version of it is, there are no good students, only good teachers. And Bob was and is the best there ever was. One of the things that's always stood out with me is his dedication, his commitment, his work, really strong work ethic. And one little episode comes to mind. I had newly joined his group. It was in '96, I believe. Spring of '96, I had just finished his logic synthesis course, and we were discussing some problems, and I was eager to impress him with how hard a worker I was. So I stayed up all night, and we had discussed something the previous evening, and I 5:30 in the morning I sent him an email, like, here's what I've come up with. And 5 minutes later I get back a response of why that's good and why that's not so good, and never send him an email at 5:30 a.m. ever again. So thank you, Bob, for being there always, and for all the many lessons in a strong work ethic that you've shown by example. Happy 90th birthday.
Thank you. One thing I'd like to share here, that in my stay at Berkeley, I was always in awe of all the smart people around me, and then again I'm seeing all of them here. I'm feeling so humbled again. Last thing I'd like to say, I went after doing bachelor's and master's and PhD, I had to study some more. My father was wondering why I'm studying so much. I did MBA at Wharton, and then for that I had to fill out an application. It asked me, we would like to get to know you beyond your professional life. You may tell us about the people or experiences that have shaped you, what inspires and motivates you, etc. etc. So in what I wrote was, I would like to mention two people in my academic and professional career who have been huge influencers in my life. And the first one, major life influencer, Professor Robert Brayton. I'm just reading verbatim quickly. The first one is Dr. Robert Brayton, Professor Emeritus, Department of ECH, University of California, Berkeley. Professor Brayton, affectionately known and called as Bob by everyone around him, is a very well-accomplished researcher and academician with plenty of awards and accolades under his belt, medal, National Academy of Engineering, blah, blah, etc. And I had the privilege of working with him as one of the PhD thesis advisors. But it's not his industry recognition and fame that have inspired me over the years. I am inspired and influenced by Bob's two attributes. The first one is his work ethic. After working at prestigious IBM T.J. Watson Research Center for over 25 years, effectively a career spanning over, 25 years, Bob took up the career of a faculty member at UC Berkeley and has worked there for over 25 years. So effectively a career spanning over 50 years at world's one of the most prestigious research institute, followed by one at one of the world's most renowned public university. It's been over 15 years since I did my PhD thesis under Bob, but even today I feel in awe at the level of passion he exhibits for his research work. It is truly inspirational and has certainly played a motivational role in my pursuit to an EMBA program relatively late in my career. The second attribute of Bob that I would like to emulate most is his humility. The ease with which he took youngsters with little research aptitude under his wing and nurtured them to grow into accomplished academic and industry professionals is truly commendable. Bob's humble persona made everyone around him very comfortable, and I feel very lucky to be part of such a culture led by Bob and hope to have imbibed some of that in my DNA as well. This is about 10 years ago that I wrote for my Wharton essay. Bob, I tell everyone I meet that I have unqualified respect and love for Bob. Thank you very much. With that, the last one, any meeting will not be over until we have Alberto says the last words. So it
I
is.
wonder how long it took for this to be figured out.
So Alberto has given instruction that all I have to do is just press play and go. So let's see how it goes. Oh, what happened? That's it? No. I got to go in the presentation mode.
Hello, dear Bob. I am so sorry that I have not been able to be with you today. I tried actually, and I set up my travel so that I could be there, but of course something happened, and so I have to come back to Italy right away, and because today there is going to be the launch of a new initiative on CHIPS IT score with these CHIPS Acts, and there is one in Italy, and so I had to come because I've been named the president of this initiative in Italy. So I'm extremely sorry not to be there. I mean, I think that the most relevant relationship in my long years of work has been with you and with Richard Newton. So I remember the first time that I met you, it was at your town in 1970, actually 78. And I was just in awe for your accomplishments, and I really wanted to meet you, and I set up a travel from during the summer from Italy to New York to meet with you. And guess what? We had a crash landing. And so my first push was, I need to get in touch with Bob and let him know that I will be late because we had a crash landing. So I didn't even let my family know. You first, then the family after. So since then, we started collaborating, and then you invited me to come to your town in 1980. And so I spent 9 months in your town with you and Gary Achtel in the math department. And we started working on several aspects, but in particular on logic synthesis. And there was also Gary Achtel and Kurt McMullen that worked with us on this topic, and we developed Espresso, the two-level logic minimizer. And we call it Espresso because, if you remember, it was hot and strong and fast. Since then we started seeing each other more and more often, to the point that you then asked me to join your town. And I had an interview with Sam Winograd, and I was very close to say, yes, I will stay in your town. But there was a big snowstorm, and while in California it was sunny and beautiful and warm, and I say, no, I want to go back to California. Who would tell us that many years later you would join Berkeley? And so instead of me being hired by you, I hired you, quote unquote, in the sense of Berkeley hired you after you retired from IBM. Many interesting things happened in all this, all over our period together. So besides the work, I remember that you invited me several times for dinner at your place in your town, but I was cooking, I was doing the cooking. And so you were always joking by saying that you would invite the cook. And so we had some very interesting, wonderful dinners. Then one thing that was an important step in our career was when we won the Darlington Award for the best paper joining theory and application, and this was the party that our wives set up for the two of us. And in fact, I had the two Darling Award. That was the title that your wife gave to Ruth, gave to the cake that she cooked. So that was a wonderful memory. And then the memories about our tennis games. And in fact, when you came to Berkeley, we played double together, and we always won the tournament in Coriolis, until the students put as a rule that no two professors could play together, just because they were sick and tired to see the two of us winning. But when I was playing single with you, you always beat me, always, except once, and I was winning that game, and guess what? I twisted my ankle so bad that I actually fainted on the court, and I find myself in your arms. You were carrying me to the clubhouse, and then you took me to the emergency room to see what the heck was happening to my ankle. And your comment was, you see, God punished you because you were beating me. So, well, I don't think that was the case, but The case was that I was trying so hard to beat you for once that I killed my ankle in the process. And well, we had so many other wonderful experiences when you decided to join Berkeley. So you were very heavily recruited by MIT and Stanford, but we won. So Berkeley was able to attract you here, and the rest is history. We did so much work together, and I must say it was a splendid, fantastic 20, 30 years of our work together. So I wish you all the best for your 90, and please recover fast. So I heard about your problem a week ago, and so I do hope with all my heart that you are enjoying this meeting today. And again, if I can stay up until 2 a.m., I'll log in and say happy birthday in person. Bye, Bob.
Sorry, we can. So sorry, I realized that I had missed out on a couple of more trivia and most important ones, so I don't want to leave without that. Okay, so we did the Tom Scheipel one. Yes, the answer is already given, right? The Alberto gave the answer away. So, but he had helpers. So this 3 Italian folks, cooking carbonara at Bob's house. So there's a couple more on basketball. So his competitiveness led to some skirmishes on basketball court, in which he had to be taken to the hospital. And the question is, which place was it where he hit his head and needed to be taken to the hospital while playing basketball?
IWLS, right?
Yeah. But no, you need to give the place.
Granley Backen, yes. IWS 95. Okay, and definitely the last one of all. So Bob has played a lot of basketball, including high school. And he played with somebody who became very famous. Name that person, and also what was he famous for? Those who know the answer, hey, Bob is raising his hand. Of course Bob knows. Anybody wants to take a crack at it? Wild guess. Who knows the answer? Ruth knows the answer. Mike knows the answer. Okay. Oh, this is going to blow you away. Seriously, this is why it is the biggest trivia of all. So pay attention to it as I click this button. Robert Brayton played basketball in high school with a person named Robert Spangler. Robert Spangler was a serial killer who murdered his first wife, son, daughter, his third wife. And this is no joke. You can Wikipedia, and this is all. You can find the police record of this person.
Can I say something about this? I remember Bob went to the high school reunion. It was, I think, like the 40th high school reunion. And they put away this guy, Spangler, and then Bob came back with this story that said, well, I asked them, or they asked this guy, why did you do it? You were such a nice guy. You were the pillar of the community. Apparently, he was a very nice guy. And he said he had 3 bad days.
Well, fortunately only 3, because that's how many people he killed. All right, so I think this was the last, and thank you for participating. Thank you very much. You have been a great audience.
I just want to take a moment to thank various people. Firstly, Bob and Ruth, and Mike and Jim and Debbie for finding a way to be here. When this happened a few weeks ago, we didn't expect Bob would be here in person. So all the support we've given to make this happen, for Bob to show up here and be here in person, I'm sure it'll be a lifetime of memory for the rest of us and for you. So appreciate you doing that. When we started organizing the event, we were looking at different event spaces, and we had an estimate of about 20 people who will show up because Bob had only 40 students and he joined Berkeley much later in his career.
But as you can see around the room, almost everybody invited showed up. Many people came from very far, so I also want to thank each of you for considering, taking the time to come here, taking the effort to come here and working with us with the logistics of the events, and appreciate that a lot. So thank you, each of you. There's so many of you who have seen after so many years, and I'm sure the feeling is the same for many of you. And then last but not the least, I want to thank Rajiv, who took over the organization of this event almost single-handedly. I talked to him a few weeks ago. He didn't know about it, and then jumped into it, and with his full heart and soul did this. Some of you might know that he just arrived from India about 6 hours ago, and he found a way to get here, even though his wife, Renu, is getting an award at IIT Kanpur right now. And so I appreciate Rajiv a lot, and thank you so much, Rajiv.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I want to thank all the people who, first of all, went way to organize and dig up all kinds of research. And the other thing was the main organizer. He's put in so much work. It's incredible. And I want to thank them personally for this work. And this is what go down in my record book as a thing to look back in my career, which spanned about 30, no, 50, 60, 80. Anyway, so 30 to 80 years. And so many great people. Thank you very much. Bob, you stayed till the very end. Wow. Incredible. Thank you. Thank you. You're the nerd. You get inside.
Hello. Yeah. So I know people. Hi. If I can get people's attention.
Oh.
So I know people have, are sort of recognizing this opportunity to get together. So if people want to hang out together, even after this, we'll figure out another place to move to. So if you're interested in hanging out, just stay here. And parents are not invited for this one.
I have to go. It's a pleasure to see you.
Awesome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Very good. Very good. मैं उसी को देख रहा हूँ and BB are Instagram. Sir. Hi, Kurt. I just want to say hi. Thank you very much for remembering me.